Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle Mate in my series Freemasonry and Satanism. Freemasonry. I guess I could have named this series Rosicrucian and Luciferianism instead of Satanism. Secret societies and the invisible reality. That seems to be the connection. This is a new series number. Actually, when I reorganized my videos, I had some holes in the earlier numbers. I used to make video number 20 on a book, and if I made another video on that same book, I would name it 22. But after I consolidated later on and reorganized, I had 4 or 5 holes in the previous numbers. So this will be 23. But I got to tell you, with June 6th, 6/6, wow, 2017, this book review I'm doing seems to be pertinent. Timely. The Book of the Law. Aleister Crowley, who changed the spelling of his name to equal 666, the mark of the beast. And Aleister Crowley was communicating with a couple of beings when they practiced these rituals, opening up portals, using sacrifices or sexual magic. I kid you not. And apparently it's connected, much to my surprise, connecting the dots seems to be obvious, to the Egyptian hieroglyphics and hieroglyphics and other monuments all over the world relating to the serpent of the Bible, and the ancient gods of Egypt, as well as probably Mexico, Peru, with the serpents etched in stone. So what is reality? What's the truth? So the two beings that Aleister Crowley were communicating with, Aiwass and Lamb, and they looked like gray aliens. We'll be looking at those pictures and going over a lot of documents. When I do this book review here, it says in this book, be cautioned. Do not read aloud the words in this book. You can bring evil upon yourself, curses. So there's hidden magic in the sentences and the arrangement. Things you don't see with your physical eyes or think about. But apparently words, as we all know, are vibrations. And they can have an effect. So I made some videos, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, with a little drum beat in the background, looking at some of the pages that I took pictures of after I read the material and underlined it in red, things that jumped out at me. So whatever you do, I would not advise anybody to read the words aloud. You can look at the video, see what they say, see my notes, and hopefully come away with an opinion of what you think. But before I jump into that, I'd like to look at some other books that, again, are probably on topic. Gods and Devils from Outer Space. So who are these beings? What are these beings? Were a lot of these books written as propaganda to change the paradigm, to change the way we think, to destroy, eliminate Christianity, Islamic religions, and other religions around the world. The Mothman prophecies. Who were these beings that look like archons, watchers, beings mentioned in the Bible? Our haunted planet. No doubt about it, people have been reporting strange anomalies throughout Earth's history, human history. So what do we know? What do we don't know that we should know? Maybe a better question. The Watchers. Raymond Fowler. So these are books I still have to read, but apparently are relative to the conversation. Look at this beam there coming down to Earth. Apparently there have been some beams like that reported around the world. One of them was over there in Jerusalem on one of the monuments. Another one was a strange lightning bolt at the Vatican when we got a new pope. So there are some anomalies happening on Earth. A lot of people are aware of this. And of course we get the gray aliens. We all kind of know what they look like with the big head with the almond eyes. And then again, there's been a lot of fear-mongering and propaganda, true or not. Is it some kind of symbology? But this is Herculaneum, or the red planet. A lot of us know it as Planet X, the Destroyer, Nibiru. So is somebody, again, playing with our minds? Here's some pictures I have in here. They say something is going to come through the planetary system and even cause the Earth to tilt on its axis. And even on foreign money, like the French note, they got this Nibiru thing, images. So there's certainly something strange going on. A lot of videos you can find on YouTube, websites. And notice Planet X has those wings. We'll be seeing those wings again when I mention it. They've been stuffing the news about strange comets coming, Earth changes, what they say may be causing the weather anomaly on planet Earth. Of course, I think it's the chemtrailing, weather warfare, weather control, HARP, transmitters, heating up the atmosphere. So they say something's coming. Do we really think we know the truth about our solar system? This book, by the way, this little book here, this was by somebody in South America. What's interesting is the date. Back in 2000 and 2003. So, are we being deceived? More books, Our Cosmic Ancestors. There's plenty of this material out there. I gotta make a video on this book, I'm reading it. Little Gray Bastards. Again, we're being deceived. Propaganda. Some intentional changing of our paradigm. The evil agenda of the secret government. We have all these secret societies that control our government and our world. Make no mistake about that. Blood Prince of the Gods. A lot of people are talking about this. Howard West. They talk about the Anunnaki. Reptilian beings. Gray aliens. And the harvesting of souls. Like I said, I've got a lot of reading to do. Alright. 2 more books, and I kind of took a turn in my investigation because of some of the popular YouTube videos and books published. David Wilcock, The Synchronicity Key, The Hidden Intelligence Guiding the Universe and You. Author of the Source Field Investigations. So there are a lot of these videos and popular lecturers, channelers, that's why I've been working on those types of material also, talk about the earth changing to a different physical form, physics, quantum physics. Maybe not so material, but and also some kind of enlightening for the humans in our minds, so that everything is going to ascend. Humans are going to ascend. The planet's going to ascend. And we will have powers to manifest whatever we want. So I thought, wow, this is a strange turn of events for me trying to be a practical researcher into some very bizarre topics. Another David Wilcock book I got, The Source Field. The Hidden Science and Lost Civilizations Behind the 2012 Prophecies. One Graham Hancock, author of Fingerprints of the Gods, says, magnificent. There is a tremendous amount of good science here, much of it new to Western readers. So what are they bringing us? Why do I sense this thing with the Anunnaki and all the symbolism and the Satanic Rituals all over the world? Katy Perry, even Alendi Grande with the recent, however you say her name, the bombing and shootings in London, the rituals that she's doing. So we're seeing the Satanic, Luciferic, Illuminati, bizarre types of rituals everywhere. And we can see fundamentally a change in people. I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm noticing everywhere these symbols. That one billboard I talked about, billboard, you know how big they are, and it had 3 plastic bottles of water. It was a commercial for that particular brand of bottled water. And on one of the bottles, on the top of it, was the 3-6 sign, the hand like this, in rainbow colors, with an eye in the middle. And I'm here to tell you now, these symbols are everywhere, and I'm noticing, to me anyways, some kind of metamorphosis in the reality around us. What was that they were talking about too long ago? The changes in the spelling of words and all kinds of other historical events. It was pretty popular a month or 2 ago. And Mandela effect. I am almost convinced that something like that is actually happening, but on even a greater scale. That one congressman from Louisiana in the press release yesterday, the day before, after the bombing in London and numerous other bombings all over the world these last few days, week, he said, this is a congressman from Louisiana, if you suspect somebody of being a terrorist or an extremist, kill them right away. And I was reading the comments on that press release, and somebody says, does that mean people who are Christians? Would they be considered extremists? Should you kill them right away? So, like I said, it seems like we're slowly moving into this bizarre world. A planet of decency, Christianity, even the other religions around the world. I just happen to be Christian. I'm sure if I grew up in China or India or in the Middle East and I was one of those religions, I'm sure there's a good side, and I would probably be I think a good person. And I'm sure even in all religions and all countries, there are people who don't want to adhere to the rules that are handed down by God or prophets. And they want, for selfish reasons and greed and all that, they want to go to the dark side. I do my hand like that because this is the 100% perfect. And you can be 100% perfect good or 100% perfect, if you want to call it that word, evil. So I would suspect Satan and Lucifer and many of the politicians we've had lately are on the negative side. They're very strong-willed, or they're puppets. They're low-willed, and they're controlled puppets and do what they're told, so they get in those positions. I'm not going to name any names in this video, but we know who they are. Then, of course, there's the goodwill, like Jesus would be right close to the 100% positive. Service to others, who loves mankind. The evil ones hate mankind, by the way. So we got to remember, out there in this invisible reality, there appears to be these two realms, these two ways of thinking. And I guess maybe that's the way it is. They talk about duality and all that. So what I think, what we see that's popular in the media, the news that you read, that's controlled by these secret society people working towards a new world order, new age, a lot of what is out there is meant to mind control us, sway public opinion, sway public thinking, and whatever is suppressed, because we know who controls our reality, is probably stuff they don't want us to know. And they're trying to suppress, since for 100 years, admittedly, even by the communists during congressional hearings in the 1920s, and further back, there is this hatred towards Jesus and Christianity, and apparently towards even the religious Hindus or Buddhists or Islamic people and other people all over the world, and in particular in historic times, even when the Crusaders or the Conquistadors traveled to the Middle East or even Central, South, North America, those religions that existed, those invaders would immediately seize all the religious relics, kill the shamans, of course steal all the gold, and proceed to start killing a lot of people. So we can say they're probably towards the dark side, who's ever in control. Do as thou wilt, so to speak. And that's the philosophy in this book. Do as thou wilt. Be who you are. You can't do anything else but be who you are, according to Aleister Crowley. But remember the 10 Commandments, right behind me on my shoulder, posted on the wall, say, do not kill, and do not steal, do not covet what other people have. You know, don't wallow in depression because you're not rich like everybody else. Do not bear false witness. And believe in one God. No idols. And no, don't blaspheme God. Obey the Sabbath. And so much more. So this ought to be an interesting video, and it's going to be a little different. I didn't want to say the words aloud in this book as much as I can, because I didn't want to create any incantations, any witchcraft magic, any curses on myself or anybody else. I think looking at the words in the pages of the book where I highlighted it, underlined it, and made my own notes, I think that's safe to do. And of course, you might want to pray for some guidance and discernment what the truth is. They don't want us to pray and believe in God. What is with that? You know what they want us to do is believe this stuff. These books. Gods and devils from outer space. And even with, that's why I got into this, Corey Goode and David Wilcock talking about the South Pole, Antarctica, and supposedly gigantic UFO ships discovered in the ice and beings. and Galactic Federation, huge ships orbiting Earth right now, and all the threats of the earthquakes, volcanoes, climate change, global warming, global freezing, economic collapse, terrorism, plagues, and so much more. One has to wonder who is bringing about all this stuff. I mean, publishing these books cost a lot of money. So let me get to looking at the book, and then some documents, and then the videos I made where I show pictures that I took of pages of the book, and see what you think. Alright, here we go. The Book of the Law. The book, the universe, the law of Thelma, the new eon, and the next step. Introduction. So I'm reading a little bit. Alright, this book was dedicated in Cairo, Egypt, between noon and 1 p.m. on 3 successive days. So that sounds like some kind of ritual. April 8th, 9th, and 10th in the year 1904. The author calls himself Aiwas, A-I-W-A-S, and claimed to be the minister of Hor-Par-Krat. That is, a messenger from forces ruling the earth at present. Okay, how could he prove that he was in fact a being of superior kind? We saw those books I have, Watchers, and there's Archons, angels, demons. How could he prove that he was a being of superior kind to any of the human race, entitled to speak with authority? Evidently, he must show knowledge and power, such as no man has ever known to possess. He has shown his knowledge chiefly by the use of cipher and cryptogram in certain passages to set forth recondite facts, including some events which had yet to take place, such as no human being could possibly be aware of them. Thus, the proof of his claim exists in the manuscript itself, this book. This matter is best studied under the Master Therion, whose year of odious research has led him to enlightenment. So we know the Illuminati, secret societies, have initiations, and the initiates are selected, and they get enlightened all over the world. These are the people controlling our world. No one can read it without being stricken in the very core of his being. So you can't read this book without being stricken to the very core of your being. The more than human powers of Aiwas is shown by the influence of his master. I'm not reading everything. I'm reading a little bit here. 2, part of the introduction here. The universe. The elements are newt, space. This is the total of possibilities of every kind. This idea is for literary convenience symbolized by the Egyptian goddess Nut, N-U-I-T, a woman bending over like an arch in the sky, Egyptian hieroglyphics. Hadet was symbolized as a winged globe in the heart of Nut. And I just showed you the picture of Nibiru with the wings, a winged globe. Every event is a uniting of some monad with one of the experiences possible to it. Monads are energy burst from God in the Theophist material. And I'm not teaching this stuff as what I believe. I'm just sharing what I have learned. So sparks are sent out from God, and those would be monads. And apparently these monads can be intelligence that are self-aware, even in a rock or a plant or a squirrel or a bird or a fly or a human. This is what they teach. Every man and every woman is a star. I'm only reading my highlighted portions here. Each one of us has thus a universe of his own. And remember, when I read the channeled material that I've been going over the different channelers, popular people out there, and their books, I'm trying to see what they're saying compared to the stuff maybe in Christian religious material or this New Age material. What are these messages that are coming to us that a lot of people are following? Is it good for us or bad for us? Each of us has thus a universe of his own. But it is the same universe for each one as soon as it includes all possible experience. This implies the extension of consciousness to include all other consciousness. In our present stage, the object that you see is never the same as the one that I see. Alright, number 3 here, the law of Thelma. This book lays down the code of conduct. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. So do whatever you feel like doing is the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. And I think when they put love in this book, they mean sex. Sex is the law. Do sex under will. No restrictions. And it's in this book. I've pre-read everything in here. Analyzed it and analyzed it. There is no law beyond do what thou wilt. So do anything you want. And the law is to have sex. This means that each of us stars is to move on our own true orbit. So whoever you are, whatever you feel inclined to do, according to this teaching, you should do. Forget the 10 Commandments behind me there on that white piece of paper with the tablet shape. They don't want you to follow God's laws. They actually call Christians now, who disagree with some of the new philosophy or teachings in the world, pansexuality, transgenderism, and all this, as haters. So you're going to see there's this battle going on. This paradigm shift of our reality. Alright, moving on here. The law of our growth, the impulse of our past experiences. The technical methods of achieving this are to be studied in magic. I keep talking about the Kabbalah, mysticism, magic, witchcraft, secret societies, keeping everything secret under threat of death, having their throats cut and worse. Or acquired by personal instruction from the Master Therion and his appointed assistants. And there's tons of this material on the internet and schools and all that to teach this new, shouldn't say new, but the Rosicrucian schools, Golden Dawn, Freemasonry, and all kinds of secret societies, the Zionists that are into the Kabbalah, the people who want a Jewish utopia. Even the Vatican is in on this with the Jesuits and all the other secret archives of material they have. The public is given what they want the public to consume so they can keep the public in the dark. Part of this new age and new world order, so it seems. Alright, the new aeon, so the new age. The 3rd chapter of the book is difficult to understand and may be very repugnant to many people born before the date of April 1904. So that's why I made videos. I did not want to speak chapter 1, 2, and 3. I made short videos. Superficially, they appear appalling. So what we're going to see in those videos and what you read is appalling, and do not read it aloud. We see some of them already with terrifying clarity. But fear not. It explains that certain vast stars may be described as gods. One of these is in charge of the destinies of this planet. And the planets apparently have periods of 2,000 years. A lot of us know that. The Earth goes through a 26,000 year cycle. Divide that by 12, and you have the 12 astrological signs, which is a little over 2,000 years a sign. And when Jesus was born, that was the beginning of the age of Pisces. And this, now we are in the beginnings of, or we began in it maybe 80, 90 years ago, the age of Aquarius. So what is this age of Aquarius, controlled by some god, some star? In the history of the world, as far as we know accurately, there are 3 such gods. Get this. Isis, the mother, when the universe was conceived. Then the next one, beginning 500 BC, was Osiris, the father when the universe was imagined as catastrophic. Love, death, and resurrection. And I'm just reading short pieces here. And Horus, the child, of which we come to perceive events as a continual growth, partaking in its elements of both of these methods. So Horus, the all-seeing eye, is symbolized on the USA $1 bill above the pyramid. Get it? Got it? You know who's in charge of this planet? The secret societies. Into this religion, the book of the law, do as thou wilt. And you're going to find out what they think about the rest of us in this book. Alright, I'm just going to read some highlighted thing here. The god Horus has a technical title. Hu-Ra-Ha. So I did one of the channeled videos on the Ra material. And I'm going to go over that again and listen to more of those messages. And the same thing with Seth or Cryon and other channeled material. Let's see if I can really pick up on the theme. I think I'm picking up on a little bit of it. Rahu-Kut and Hu-Pa-Krat. So I looked these names up, and they're in the Egyptian hieroglyphics. Many of us have seen the images of these gods. The meaning of this doctrine must be studied in magic. So this is all involves magic, incantations, curses. He is symbolized as a hawk-headed god enthroned. The hawk-headed, the bird-headed god, which is represented as Horus, which again is the all-seeing eye, as per Egyptian hieroglyphics on the US $1 bill. And in those Egyptian hieroglyphics is a lot of red-looking globes with wings on it, and a lot of us are familiar with Nibiru, Planet X, the Destroyer. So he rules the present period of 2,000 years, beginning in 1904. So this book says the current period, the age of Aquarius, I guess, started in 1904. So all this chaos and anarchy that we have been experiencing, World War I, World War II, and everything else, is falling into line with this coming new age, new paradigm. Everywhere his government is taking root. It says it here on page 17. Observe for yourself the decay of the sense of sin. So the decay of the sense of sin. So there's not going to be any sense of sin anymore. You people won't perceive that there is a sin. They're going to feel they can do whatever they want. A decay in the sense of sin. The growth of innocence and irresponsibility, and the strange modifications of the reproductive instinct with the tendency to become bisexual. I just said it. Or epicene, the childlike confidence in progress combined with nightmare fear of catastrophe against which we are yet unwilling to take precautions. Is all this sounding strangely connecting with what we're seeing in our reality? A tendency to become bisexual, nightmare fear of catastrophe, unwilling to take precautions. Consider the outcrop of dictatorships, prevalence of infantile cults like communism. And I'm just reading my highlighted portions, making my point here. How this new eon of Horus will develop, how the child will grow up, these are for us to determine, growing up ourselves in the way of the law of Thelma. So even with the channeled material, all this stuff, Thelma is the law of the will. So you are to do whatever you desire will to do. There should be no restrictions on you according to this teaching, which I absolutely don't subscribe to or believe in. I'm clearly a Christian. I grew up that way, just as I respect people who are Hindu or Muslims or Buddhists. They grew up that way, and a lot of those people in their religions teach commandments: thou shalt not kill and steal. I did take a comparative religion course in community college by an Iranian teacher, and I'm aware that shamans all over the world teach these rites, these commandments, these messages from the beyond on how to behave in a goodly fashion. And every now and then you get somebody that gets to be trained as a shaman who starts to abuse the powers he has been given, or she. This is common knowledge all over the world. Just because you were selected as a child to be a shaman, say in Peru, doesn't mean you won't grow up to be an evil shaman. Maybe you'll see somebody's wife that you want and you'll cause a hex on that man to die so you can get his wife or his worldly goods, his money, or whatever. Evil is evil. And enlightened guidance of the master theory on the will. Number 4 on this opening. Liberty stirs once more in the womb of time. So we have a Statue of Liberty given to the United States by the Freemasons in France. And one of their slogans is liberty, fraternity, and justice. But liberty, eternity, and justice for whom? Liberty stirs once more in the womb of time. The abnormal man who foresees the trend of the times and adapts circumstance intelligently. So the abnormal man is laughed at, persecuted, often destroyed by the herd. But he and his heirs, when the crisis comes, are survivors. The herd will be destroyed in mass. So we, the people, according to this book, says here on page 20, will be destroyed in mass. Only reading my highlighted portions. I'm not trying to do an audiobook. I'm not even recommending going buy this book. I think you'll get the point who's behind the secret societies and the UFO alien thing and the secret societies, the New Age, the New World Order, and the economic destruction of the world, the threat of terrorism, plagues, all the black op projects with the secret intelligence agencies, whether they be Mossad in Israel or CIA, the Pentagon, MI6 in London, all over the world, seem to be controlled by some evil forces, secret societies. A lot of the leaders of these intelligence agencies were selected from secret societies. And that doesn't mean on the lower level there aren't a lot of good people working at these organizations. There are, and a lot of them have been persecuted and murdered for trying to tell what they saw. I think like James Forrester. The establishment of the law of Thelma, the will, is the only way to preserve individual liberty and to assure the future of the race. So they want to bring us this new chaos and anarchy reality to ensure the future of the race, written by a book obviously full of Satanism and witchcraft, in my opinion. The absolute rule of the state shall be a function of the absolute liberty of each individual will. The absolute rule of the state shall be a function of the absolute liberty of each individual will. All men and women are invited to cooperate with the Master Therion on this, the great work. Oh my. So then we're moving to chapter 1 here. And I will play a video right now. And then we'll be talking about something else, some other documents I found related to this. And then doing chapter 2 and then look at another document. And then do chapter 3 video I made. And then of course my closing. And maybe this is an important message, an important video that everybody should watch. Seems to me that it even surprised and shocked me what I discovered. Research on some of this material. A little bit bizarre, but apparently true information. So apparently the beings that Aleister Crowley was channeling through some kind of rituals, sexual rituals, or even sacrificing of humans, especially children, they create some kind of portal with this magic. It's important to know and remember. What's going on in our world right now? Is there some great magic taking place? Changing the very reality as we know it. It's almost like if you wrote a software program for a game, and you got really good at it, and you understood the game, and some really good software programmer came along later on and made some tweaks and changes to the software. So the game was a little different, maybe a little more complex, maybe just different. And you played it again and you could tell the difference. Small differences. Different doors that opened, different enemies that were attacking and shooting. A video game. And then again, somebody else came along again and started tweaking with the software. Still the same box, still the same console, still the same controls. But now there's some more tweaks to the game, and you notice that. I think, it seems, somebody is tweaking this matrix we live in. I can perceive it. I can see it. The TV programming, I was watching the Gotham double series last night. And I don't think I have to watch them anymore. I've got what I needed to see. But the vicious violence and the images are just mind-boggling. There has to be an effect on the mind from these things. And I'm sure it's all over the media. And you watch the shows like modernizing homosexual marriage, like Modern Family. And then, of course, modernizing or changing the paradigm, spiritualism, religion with Seinfeld and 2.5 Men, with those two guys just sleeping with a different girl almost every show, or in sometimes even multiple women, and all kinds of other bizarre stuff. This seems to be accepted as normal. I think that's all intentional, and I think it's affecting our reality. But anyways, the beings where Aleister Crowley got this book of the law, Do As Thou Wilt, through magic, sexual, or sacrificing of humans. This is what they look like when he made drawings. And it sort of looks like gray aliens. I showed you the books. So I'll read a little bit from this research I did. For what reason would a UFO book be included in the curriculum of a satanic group? And why Ray Fowler's book, The Watchers 2, in particular? So I showed you the Watchers book by Ray Fowler. So why, when you go onto a satanic website, you're going to be recommended reading The Watchers 2 by Ray Fowler? Why? Aleister Crowley investigation. The Englishman, Aleister Crowley, 1875 to 1947, was one of the most notorious occultists of his day, and perhaps in modern times, the self-styled, he called himself, and changed the spelling of his name, to be the Beast 666. He went out of his way to live up to it with the sensationalism and self-promotion. He wrote a number of textbooks on ceremonial magic. A lot of people are getting into this stuff. He also founded and was head of a number of occult fraternities. Remember the slogan, logo, for the Freemasonry on their books, The New Age, I'll show that in this video, is fraternity, justice, and liberty. In short, he exerted a significant influence on occult circles, and that has continued to grow dramatically long after his death. So this is the way the world's going right now. The Alma-Lantruk working. In January through March 1918, Crowley began a series of magical workings called the Alma-Lantruk workings in furnished rooms in Central Park, West New York City. These were performed via sexual and ceremonial magic, probably sacrificial magic. His spelling with the intent to invoke certain intelligence to physical manifestation. Got it? Get it? Right there on the bottom how you spell that word. Alma-Lantruk workings. So you can go on the internet and just look up Aleister Crowley and all this stuff and find these documents. I got another one here. In actuality, the workings typically manifested as a series of visions and communications received through the mediumship of his partner, Roddy Minor. So we have channeled material, and he has a medium who brings it in, like the other channelers I've been going over. As you can see now, that's why I've been going over them in 2017. I realize this series number is number 23. I'm just filling one of the holes back then in 2013, 2014. But I did get this book back then, and I perused it, but I wasn't making videos. So if people follow this series, they'll get this video sooner. So anyways, there was two beings. Lam was one of the beings, and it's a Tibetan word for the way path. And Lama is he that goeth. So a Lama, we all know about those yoga people in India. The specific title of the gods of Egypt, the trender of the path. In Buddhistic phraseology, its numerical value is 71. So we got numerology, just like what they did 9/11 on that specific date. And a lot of these false flag shootings and bombings are done on certain dates too. We have a lot of this witchcraft Illuminati magic going on all over the world right now. Like I said, it seems like it's changing our matrix, our paradigm. If you pay attention and you look around, you can see it, like with that Louisiana congressman yesterday, day before, saying in a press release in the Main Street News, when I was checking my email on Yahoo News, there it was on the top, that anybody who anybody suspects as being a extremist, a terrorist, Islamic or whatever, should be apprehended and killed immediately. I can see where it's going. Eventually it'll go to anybody who's an extremist against this New Age, do as thou wilt philosophy, New World Order, will be considered an extremist. And that's why if you look up on YouTube videos and other alternate websites, part of the preferred method of killing these people will be by beheading them, and the government has purchased 30,000 guillotines. It's just a little bit spooky. What insanity would get the government to buy guillotines? They could just shoot people or whatever, but apparently this has some kind of satanic purpose, prophesized thing, noetic laws. So this world is coming to something really strange quickly. Like I said, like a freight train coming. Mind control. Cult of Lamb. Since Crowley's time, several occult groups and individuals following in his footsteps have claimed to intentionally and successfully contacted Lamb. So people are using mediums and those rituals, sexual rituals, orgies, sacrificing children, and apparently some people said they have contacted Lamb. We know about Pizzagate and spirit cooking and all that stuff that our leading politicians are accused of. In the Bohemian Grove, under a giant owl named Moloch, they throw a baby. I've mentioned this stuff before. Eurovision, the American Idol program, but Eurovision is in Europe. The singing contest where Conchita Wurst won. Conchita means a female sex part. Wurst is a sausage, a male sex part. And the being had a head like Jesus and the body of a woman in a silky dress, singing the song, The Phoenix Rising, which has the words, "You Can't Stop Us." The CERN rituals and ceremonies they had, the grand opening for the tunnel in Switzerland, satanic, Emmys, Grammys, football time, halftime shows, Katy Perry, Madonna, Beyonce, Lady Gaga, all this stuff. And you can go on YouTube videos and see it all for yourself. If you wanted to know why, this video might explain it. Alright, so they were contacting this Lamb through these magic rituals. Michael Burtox, probably saying his name wrong, in the 1960s followed a group of OTO, Order of the Templi Orientis. In the 1970s, another one of these Golden Dawns or secret societies, a magical order run by Crowley. These individuals consider Lamb to be transmundane or extraterrestrial entity and claimed remarkable success in their invocations, if they are to be believed. And Stephen Greer even takes people on tours out to the beach or in the woods, and they do this incantations or asking these beings to appear, and apparently they do. And we got the David Wilcock with this Disclosure Project and all these other people. Our paradigm is being altered intentionally. This new age of Aquarius, prophesized in the Christian religion as coming forth of an Antichrist and Armageddon on the planet, and they're telling us, metaphorically maybe, Planet X is coming, the destroyer. The cult of Lamb has been founded because very strong imitations have been received by Asio Iowas. Intimations to the effect that the portrait of Lamb, his picture, the original drawing, which was given by 666 to 718, under curious circumstances, is the present focus of the extraterrestrial. It is our aim to attain some insight not only into the nature of Lamb, but also into the possibilities of using the egg as an astral space capsule to traveling to Lamb's domain, and for exploring extraterrestrial spaces in the sense of which the order of the, I just said that, Templi Orientis, travelers are exploring the tunnels of Set. And I remember I had Seth in my channeled material video I made, in intercosmic and cation capsules. It should be understood that proficiency in the magic formula of this cult does not necessarily comport eligibility to advancement in the Order Templi Orientis or its parent order. So this information was obtained on the Grant's Typhonian Order Templi Orientis website. Oh my. They say what they're doing. They want to connect this world with this invisible reality wherever this Ios comes from, who gives us information like the Book of the Law, if you've been watching the videos. With that said, I'll play video number 2 now, chapter 2. document here. I hope you like the way I made those two videos so far. Like I said, you shouldn't speak those paragraphs and sentences aloud. They are vibrations, and it even warns you that in the book. Interesting. Ritual magic. So anyways, we got something here called 10 Facts About the Great Beast, Aleister Crowley. You can look this stuff up on the internet. Just literally took me minutes to find it and select a few documents at random. Born Edward Alexander Crowley in 1875, Crowley was a pansexual. I keep talking about this rainbow agenda. Pansexual, transgender, homosexual, anything goes, orgies, bisexual, mystic, occultist, ceremonial magician, recreational drug experimenter, poet, and accomplished mountaineer. Known as the Great Beast 666. He founded the religious philosophy of Thelma, the religious philosophy of just using your will. Do whatever you will to do, whatever you have an inclination to do. And any restrictions on that are apparently great sins to these people. The opposite, obviously, of the Ten Commandments in the Bible and Christianity and other good religions, which enforced idealism, libertine rule, that would be the liberals and the progressives, do what thou wilt. The British press named him the wickedest man in the world. This document's by Astral McAlimont, September 22, 2012. Give credit where credit is due. Early in his life, Crowley developed an intense sexual fixation on women. He lost his virginity to one of the family maids on his mother's bed. The maid was promptly fired. 3 years later, Crowley contacted gonorrhea from a prostitute. In 1898, he published a 100-page compilation of his poems, Al-Sadama, and in the same year published his erotic poems called White Stains. At the age of 23, he joined clandestine organization, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. So here we're talking about Hermeticism, mysticism, Kabbalism, these cultural religions of the historic Jewish people, and not all Jewish people rejected Jesus and followed that line of thinking. And not all Christians are following the Christian line of thinking. A lot of them have turned over to the dark side of Satanism, Illuminati, secret societies, etc., involving these spirit cooking and pedophilia and Pizzagate and so much more, child trafficking, human sacrifice, Bohemian Grove. Crazy. He joined in 1898 the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, that's like the Rosicrucians, thus beginning his love affair with mysticism, here we go, and the occult. So now you know why I'm making videos and focusing on these things. I believe these are the topics that are behind this New Age and New World Order. And that is the destruction of Christianity and other religions throughout the world, prophesized microchipping everybody, the mark of the beast, in some kind of reality like the Hunger Games movies, enslaving mankind so that the aristocrats can rule the world. And they plan on depopulating the planet. They don't need this many people that's on the planet now. However, this affiliation didn't last long, as he never failed to offend the elder members of the group, famously aggravating the well-known poet William Butler Yeats and Arthur Edward Waite. I've got some of their books. I probably need to read them and make videos. He was expelled from the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn because of his deviant and homosexual behavior. So now they're trying to normalize homosexuality and pansexuality and everything else, bestiality even probably. Trying to eliminate the age restraint on children completely. Bizarre. Although many of the organization members were homosexuals, they felt they needed to keep it hidden. So Crowley's blatant promiscuity with men and women, some being prostitutes and rent boys, so I guess they could rent boys for sex, greatly offending and angering the other people. Crowley believed that he was guided by his guardian angel Aiwass, that alien, gray alien-looking being. He saw a vision when he made contact with Aiwass. Crowley was depicted on the cover of the Beatles. A lot of the rock and roll musicians probably didn't even know they were being manipulated by their promoters behind the scenes. But according to my research, and we'll be going over that, CIA and other secret societies organized Vietnam War, drug use, LSD in America, rock and roll with hidden satanic messages. We have been under attack for a long time. So the Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles, Crowley's on the cover. You play some of those records backwards, you can hear the satanic symbols. You look at the covers, you can see the satanic symbols. We are under mesmerization and mind control. And now they're using higher technologies with cell phones, digital TV, etc. They hear you with your cell phone, your TV, your laptop, your iPad. Commercials will come up on your computer and you'll say, man, I was just talking about that. Or you look for a lawnmower and you'll just get relentless lawnmower advertisements. You look for a house. So if you're in business and you don't pay these huge, well-known #1 search engines, the companies, you know the name, I don't want to say it. If you don't pay them, you're probably not going to be in business very long. I get phone calls every day. Phone calls even say, are you tired of these phone calls? Why don't you subscribe to this search engine and things will get better. So I think we're under attack. It's all being connected to a beast computer system for nefarious purposes. Crowley bore a heavy influence on many musicians, including Jimmy Page, who brought his former residence in Scotland, Berkshire House. The Beatles were no exception in finding inspiration on him, on the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and he was situated in between Mae West and Sir Yukonwar. Some notes here I wanted to read. Having prescribed Crowley with morphine for his asthma and bronchitis, his last doctor died 24 hours of his patient. It was rumored that shortly before Crowley's death, that the doctor refused to fulfill his prescription, thus making his patient place a curse on him. So the doctor didn't do what Crowley wanted, so Crowley put a curse on him, and after Crowley died, the doctor died. You don't believe in witchcraft, do you? Do what thou wilt is the key to real Satanism, because this is people's comments, by the way. This guy's name is Blunts. Do what thou wilt is the key to real Satanism, because doing what you want and pleasing your flesh is real Satanism. Satan didn't introduce sin, he introduced the free will. You are put on earth to do God's will. Anything else is doing the devil's work. Hence the saying, do what thou wilt. So just people's comments here. Thought it'd be interesting to throw their 2 cents in. Thelma is fairly clear on letting others fulfill their own will. Every man and every woman is a star, and each star must be left to go its own orbit. Now think about the channeled videos I've been making by the entities on the other side of the veil, the invisible reality, through the mediums, the psychics. So this other commenter says, Migid, so you believe that free will is a sin? That it is better to be a zombie like automaton who will just follow what your programmer ordered you to do? And that's what they're saying about religions right now. They're demonizing religions. And it's going to get more intense, I have no doubt. Another document I found, I looked up that ayahuasca character. But before that, I got some more notes here. I'm sorry. My pages got a little mixed up. And one guy is laughing. Illuminated Adept. That's his name, Blutz. That's funny, LOL. Satanism. Ha 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 ha. So people will laugh at you when you mention Satanism. mind control. Another commenter says, they don't understand his ways. They still don't. Society will always be behind while a select few understand life and its many glories. I have done wonders through chaos magic, things I dare not speak of in such an open public place. So here's some guy says he's done wonders with magic, but he doesn't dare to tell us. And another person here writes, indeed, such things should not be spoken in the public eye. Another comment here, Elijah says, hail Satan. Can't make this stuff up. And another commenter says, you have no idea what his philosophy was about. Well, killing children, sex with children, and orgies, opening portals, bringing in demons, and writing books. I don't think you need to be Sherlock Holmes to figure this out. The devil is in the details, literally. Alright, some other guy says he also spied for British MI6 and carried on psychic warfare against German magicians during World War II. So apparently the Germans, the secret societies, yet again, not the German citizens at large, were into the occult sciences, getting information and high technologies from the other side of the veil, the invisible reality. Now remember, before the Great Flood, Noah's Flood, worldwide flood, if you want to even read about the Hopi Indians and other native tribes all over the world, they detail the flood. But there are monuments that remained after the flood that showed that there was an advanced society like Atlantis, Hyperborea, Mu, whatever, prior to the Great Flood. So people who were alive, spiritual entities or whatever, apparently even according to Nikola Tesla and a lot of other scientists and famous people I have researched, gained information from the other side of the veil. So this last 100 years or so, as we all know, technology just went right up to a tangent curve. So that's part of the thing they needed to do to bring about this new paradigm we're about to jump into. Alright, some more comments here. Do what thou wilt is not libertine. Anyone who wants to discuss Crowley should at least know something about Thelma. It's to do with each individual having a specific path in life. Not do whatever you want. So again, when I was watching the channeled material on some of those videos I've already made, they tell you to find your spiritual alignment with your source. So I'm beginning to see that the people that are feeding this information through these mediums, very popular by the way, and I'll be making more videos on the different entities that are coming through certain mediums that are becoming world famous. This is no small thing. Alright, no, you got it backwards. And harm none, do what that will is Wiccan. And Wiccan was started by Gerard Gardner. Gardner was once given a charter to open an Order Templarius Aureatus body, another Rosicrucian organization similar, but went on to form Wicca instead after Crowley's death. Another guy says, you should be you, as water is water, and cannot help but do what the water does. So they're teaching again here, whatever you have an inclination to do, your parents or the school or the authorities that are trying to come down on you and stop you from being you. You want to be a freak or a weird, they shouldn't interfere, because just like water, it's just being water. That's what they're teaching. And this stuff is spreading like wildfire all over the planet. You can see the, excuse my language, but you can see the freak show when you go downtown or watch the gay pride parades and other events, all sponsored with websites and big money. This is no small thing. Even back in the 1920s, when the Congress had the congressional hearings where a lot of communist people testified they were planning to infiltrate all parts of society, education, health, economic, and change our paradigm. They are the enemy of Christianity and other good religions throughout the world. You should be entirely true unto your own path, without pretense of being something you're not. You see what I'm saying? In a lot of world, or the tipping point is probably already passed. There's more of people with this satanic theology, belief, than there are the rest of us. The numbers are dwindling. Even in the Germany Must Perish and other books I've gone over, they are destroying our society as we know it. Something along those lines, though it is associated with behaviors, sex, magic, drug taking, morally condemned by many, it is very far from loose and libertine. It's about harnessing power, not relaxing to degraduation. So more messages in that channeled material. Another document here, I looked up that ayahuasca being, the gray-looking alien we looked at. Ayahuasca is a name given to a voice that English occultist, this is Wikipedia, Aleister Crowley claimed to have heard on April 8th, 9th, and 10th in 1904. Crowley claimed that this voice, which he considered originated within the non-corporeal intelligence, dictated the book of the law. So this being here dictated the information in this book of the law, which was in those short videos I showed you some of the pages. And this information is being channeled by other entities, Cryon, Seth, Abraham. What are we to believe? According to Crowley, the first appearance of ayahuasca was during the 3 days of the writing. His first and only identification as such is in chapter 1. Behold, it is revealed by ayahuasca, the minister of Hor Par Krat. So you know how I do things, I look things up. And I look up these beings, and I find them. Look at the horns, the star. Go on Yahoo image site and start doing some of this research. It boggles the mind. And some more symbols in these pictures. Just saying, I tried to do thorough research here, what we're talking about. Obviously, Egyptian hieroglyphics. All this stuff is Zachariah Stitchin type stuff. Interpreting the Sumerian tablets. The Anunnaki. Planet X, Nibiru the Destroyer. The New Age, the New World Order. Apparently, all about the serpent in the Bible. Here's Aleister Crowley. And one of the symbols there looks like some kind of Kabbalah symbol. Alright, back to this Wikipedia ayahuasca document. Hor Par Krat the bird-headed being we see in this picture. In the center of this picture. The bird-headed guy with the snake in the circle, Planet X, Nibiru. Alright, Hor Par Krat, Egyptian, Har Par Krit, is more commonly referred to by the Greek translation Hippocrates, meaning Horus the child. Horus is also represented by the all-seeing eye. He is the son of Isis, you know, the threat of Isis in the Middle East. Get it? Got it? None of this stuff is incidental. They're telling us what's going on here. All this threats of pole shifting and New Age, New World Order, Jade Helm 15, FEMA camps, coffins. It's no mystery if you do a little research. So Horus is the all-seeing eye on the US $1 bill. Even on the other side of the US $1 bill, on top of one of the ones, is a little owl, Moloch, in the Bohemian Grove in California, where a lot of our famous presidents and politicians go to every year for a couple weeks. And a giant fire under a giant owl named Moloch. They throw a baby in the fire called the cremation of care. So we know when you sacrifice a child, apparently, from my research, we know, I've discovered that apparently it opens up portals to the other world, the invisible reality. I suspect it's not heaven. It's probably more like Hades. So Crowley considered to be the central deity within the Thelemic cosmology. So it all seems to be focused around this Egyptian hieroglyphics, some resurrection of some golden age, and they want to bring about a new golden age. And apparently it wasn't really good for the Hebrews back then when they were enslaved, when those pyramids were made and the Sphinx was made, and the culture back then. And apparently it was quite grotesque and destructive prior to the Great Flood, which biblically is why God brought about the Great Flood, because the DNA and everything else had been so polluted on earth, so corrupted. The Atlanteans, who had fled because of the sinking of their own continent, apparently because of evil forces, brought with them their genetic manipulation and cloning, and were creating grotesque beasts and monsters. In Egypt and other parts of the world, we see the monuments. And there were battles back then, but the earth became irreversibly damaged with these beasts, so the Great Flood had to happen. And all over the world, including the Hopi Indians, etc., even in Greece and all over the world, there were these tunnels and places where some beings were helping a portion of the human race to survive. Even in Eric von Danovich's books, The Gold of the Gods, in the mountains there, Ecuador, what's the name of those? Andes Mountains. There are all kinds of man-made caves. Somebody cut them out with lasers, like glass walls and all kinds of storage rooms. I've gone over those books and made videos. So you can see I'm getting closer and closer to focusing here on what's really going on, what it seems to be. However, Hippocrates also represents the higher self, the holy guardian angel. Crowley described the encounter in detail in another one of his books. I'll probably have to get it. The Equinox of the God, the Equinox of the God. So we all know that when you go towards winter and the sun goes to the south, that's a solstice, when it goes as far south as it can. And then it comes back, and ironically, that's around Christmas time. The birth of Jesus, the sun rises. Get it? Jesus, the sun rises. And then in the summertime, of course, it gets to the northern hemisphere. That's a solstice. But every time it crosses the exact middle point is an equinox. And those are famous Illuminati witchcraft type holidays, including Kabbalistic mysticism and all that. So it's all connected. The voice was passionately proud. This would be this Aiwass, gray alien-looking being communicating with Aleister Crowley when he was doing the Satanic Rituals, sexual or sacrifice, as if Aiwass was alert about the time limit. So the voice was coming through this other dimension in a desperate, hurried fashion. The voice was of deep timbre, musical and expressive, in tones solemn, voluptuous, tender, fierce, or aught else to be suited the moods of the message. And again, if you watch the channeled material with Cryon and the other ones I've been going over, go watch the videos. You can tell that medium or that psychic is exhibiting the emotions of whatever's coming through. It's quite bizarre. I had a strong impression that the speaker was actually in the corner where he seemed to be. Aleister Crowley is describing the presence of Aiwass. In a body of fine matter, transparent as a veil of gauze, or a cloud of incense and smoke. And a lot of people who have had alien abductions describe the beings similar to this. So they are opening up portals, apparently, whether it's on this side or the other side. But apparently there's going to be this grand opening, I guess, to bring this insanity on planet Earth. Look at those two archways of Baal, B-A-A-L. Go look up B-A-A-L on Yahoo image site. And they were trying to put one of those archways in New York City and London. And a lot of Christian people and other people started protesting it hugely all over the world. A lot of people know what's going on. And then later on we find out UNICEF, whatever it is, out of the United Nations, was planning on putting 1,000 of those all over the world. Can you imagine if they're going to open up 1,000 portals all over the world to allow these beings through and bring about this new paradigm? Bit bizarre, you think? Me at a time, Aiwass, so they thought it was an angel, such as I had seen in visions, a being purely astral. So there we go, an astral being again. So what I think I'll do now is play that 3rd chapter video I made, because I don't want to speak the words. I don't want to bring on any curses or incantations to you or me and assist in this evil coming into our world. So I made the video, highlighted it, made my notes. Just don't speak the words aloud. Use caution. If after you watch the video and this video, you might want to pick up the Bible and read a little bit to get a little more connected to God, because this stuff appears to be dangerous stuff.
This video. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. This stuff is becoming quite popular material for people these days. I don't believe they know what they're getting into. Alright, so I found this on the internet. Let's look at it. Whether you are looking to improve your life with magic, or turbocharge your spiritual growth with alchemy, or if you would just like to make new friends interested in spirituality, you have come to the right place. Here at the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn website, you will find a vast amount of information about a plethora of spiritual traditions, including hundreds of books on our Golden Dawn reference library. You can do your own research in our library or join the Golden Dawn for a supervised training in ritual magic and hermetic alchemy and the true Golden Dawn initiation physically present in one of our fully chartered and licensed HOGD temples. So I think the Church of Satan is one of the fastest growing churches right now, including all this other kinds of material. No matter what you're looking for, chances are that you will find it here at the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn website. So I went to the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn website. I just showed you in the beginning of this segment, the document. Okay. Our order, the European headquarters, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, is the direct lineal descendant of the original HOGD founded in Britain in 1888. We provide both an online initiation, so you can get initiated online, and traditional physical initiation with highly trained and skilled hierophants, priests, in fully chartered and licensed Golden Dawn temples. Well, that's wonderful. You get more people into this philosophy. It's hard to even think about what to say when you read this stuff. We're the sole and exclusive owners of the Hermetic Order of the Dawn. We operate by legal agreement adopted by the United States District Court as the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, Outer Order of the Rosicrucian Academy, Alpha et Omega.
So it clearly says order out of order of the Rosicrucian Academy. Wow. I don't know if I looked at this document. Aleister Crowley, Lamb and Little Gray Men. A striking resemblance. You can look up this document. This report presupposes two very outlandish things. That there are aliens and that some people, occultists, have magical powers. So are these two things one and the same? I say they are. Moving, I'm not reading the entire document. You can go look it up. The bottom portion says, I first became curious about a possible connection between the gray aliens of popular UFO culture and the activities of certain occultists. After seeing several UFO investigator Ray Fowler books on the recommended reading list of the Satanic website, so I did go over this earlier, Ray's book, The Watchers. So it was recommended reading on one of the Satanic group sites. What do you think? So let me look a little bit more at this book here for a second and end this video. I think anybody who has any brain at all should be able to kind of put this together, what we're dealing with. Alright, there's page 70, this book. The book announces a new law for mankind. That's what it says in here. This is no small thing. It clearly says he's the serpent, and that even the Egyptian god and goddesses worshipped the serpent. Its solution. So they're saying world wars and the catastrophe in Russia and threatening attitude of China, India, Islam, all these problems we're having right now. It says here on page 71, the solution of the fundamental problems of mathematics and philosophy will establish a new epoch in history. But it must not be supposed that so potent an instrument of energy can be used without danger. I summon, therefore, by the power and authority entrusted, wow, listen to this. I summon, therefore, the power of every great spirit and mind, now on this planet incarnate to take effective hold. And if you watch Cryon or the other channeled videos I've been going over, they are trying to say the old souls are here to assist on this ascension of planet Earth. And the old Earth is dead. The old God is dead. What do you think? And transcendent force and apply it to the advancement of the welfare of the human race. For as the experience of these 1 in 20 years has shown too terribly, this book cannot be ignored. Its ferment has begun to work on the grape of thought. Man must obtain, therefore, the wine of ecstasy. Alright, I'm not going to try to read this. I'll let you read it. Again, I don't want to cast any spells out here. Anyways, when he did get the material, apparently he wrote down the notes like this. And there are many pages of these transcripts when Aleister Crowley communicated with Hiawas. And that's the, you've been through most of the book with me on this video. I'll go to the back of the book. page 141, my scribe, that's somebody who back then in ancient times took papyrus or etched in stone material, scribe. Ankh Ahad Quesh, the priest of princes shall not in one letter change this book. So he doesn't want anybody to change anything in this book. It is transmitting magic. The words are arranged in a certain way to do certain vibrational incantations. So you should never read this book aloud. But let there be folly. He shall commit upon the wisdom. So if you change anything, you're going to be cursed. By the work of the comment, this is easy. And Hadet, burning in thy heart, shall make swift and secure thy pen. The comment. So there's one other page here, 143. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. It says here, the study of this book is forbidden. It is wise to destroy this copy after first reading. Here's a picture again from the Egyptian hieroglyphics. Looks like Horus, Hadit, in the circle with the wings on the top of the page. All-seeing eye on the bottom on the hieroglyphics. So what did Zachariah Stitchins and all those other people come up with? Look on this tablet. This is kind of weird here. But it has a 666 on the top. What does that stuff mean? Is that another incantation? Alright, a paraphrase of the inscription on the verse. So this stuff here, if you want to know what it reads, this here, and this text here, apparently is translated in English to this stuff here. And 2 more pages. And the fool readeth this book of the law, and its comment, he had understanded it not. So if you read this book, you're really not going to get it. Everything is sort of in a code. I'll just read this one sentence. Before the great God, the dread Lord of the West. So I felt it necessary to make this video about this book. It wasn't something I wanted to do, but when I was reading it, I said, oh my, if people only knew what was behind this insanity, weirdness going on in the world. 9/11, World War I, World War II, the Jewish utopia, the New Age, the New World Order, the Kabbalah, getting all the citizens out there proud that they get to dress up and look weird, look like creatures out of a zombie movie. And they're making zombie movies, even World War Z and the Gotham series, Lucifer series, Modern Family, and so much more. Billboards with 3 6s with an eye, with rainbow colors. The bombing in London, Aleister Crowley and her satanic ritual she was doing. Go watch some of that stuff. It's bizarre. It's insane. Thank you for watching my video, Rick Miracle reporting.